we had a small 2-bedroom council house, ex-authority. It was my grandmother's old house. And then we started a family, and Olivia came in 2007, and then Emily in 2008. And the house got quite small for a growing family. But in the area, quite difficult to afford to move.
Being an ex-council authority, for the space and the positioning of this property, you would have to spend about 1.1 million, and you'd still would be wanting to redo that kitchen and throw a loft in it.
So we looked at some options to extend, and we started to talk to our neighbours about buying the freehold, and ultimately we decided that why don't we just knock the whole block down with our neighbours and start again. What we realised was really important was to bring our neighbours into the process. What we didn't want was at any stage someone saying, well, I didn't like that architect, and why did you choose that person? And before we'd even started, what Carl had said, let's create a questionnaire so every resident could detail what they wanted to get out of it. So was it money, was it space, was it eco? So what we did, we created a bit of a brief, and the brief was, can we build more space so that all the existing owners could get more property, and we create some new flats to sell to pay for the project. And we selected 6 different architects, and we shrunk 6 down to 3. 3 came and pitched to us in our front room with all the residents sitting around, and we picked Peter Barber. People seemed to be keen to just do something different. We created this vision of, you know, more space for free, and that's what sort of coalesced everyone around doing something quite dramatic.
I do think it was drip-fed, the ideas. It wasn't just, hey, we've got this brilliant idea
to
knock down the house.
Great.
By no means was that. It was a few meetings and some ideas. So, and there were people we were even more careful with, like older neighbor. She surprised us with being actually very interested and going, yes, I would like more space. So
to start with, when we bought the freehold, it was a combination of buying your lease to a freehold, and then the roof was given what was called hope value, 25,000. So I think we bought the freehold for 38 grand. We spent 6.5 on the initial feasibility. Was it business viable to demolish and rebuild? Then we spent 120 to get to planning. So that involved architect, structural engineer, ground survey, legal, because clearly if you spend 120 grand and someone then says, no, I'm not really that interested, you've individually spent 30,000 each. So the shareholder agreement ensured that if anyone pulled out, they'd have to pay everybody back. So people started to get more committed. We then basically sold the assets into the company. So what we did is we valued the assets based now on valuation after planning, which means that the houses are worth more money. They were sold into the company, the freehold company. So the freehold company now is worth X million with planning. You then borrow money against that asset, and we borrowed 5.6 million. So we partnered with a developer called Cura Practical Limited. We basically created like a joint venture. They did the detailed design, knocked the building down, rebuilt it, and then what I did is I sold the 8 units, and that repaid the bank debt. Well, basically 5.6 million, it's paid for by the sales of the flats, and everyone ends up with a bigger property, so in simplistic terms.
I don't know that we envisioned this much building. It's just how it ended up working out. We were just trying to find a way to add a bedroom and a bathroom and maybe a dining room. That was our goal, but it developed.
And because where we're sitting here was the end of the original building, back here was a garden. So what he's done is, by creating the courtyards, and then above the rear sitting room there's a terrace above, as Billy's described. As you go back, we've lost outdoor space, but he's managed to recreate it. And as Billy said, that was a key part of him wanting to, he's got these architectural terms, connect people with the outdoor. And that's why here, to get the space that we wanted, it was quite a long building. To put the courtyard into the building is therefore for us to touch the outdoor versus have one really long space where you had none of that natural ventilation. And the net return, I would say, for the flat owners upstairs is probably about 400 grand after tax, and downstairs probably around 600 grand after tax. So pretty good return.